But you have a difficult time at least acknowledging the atrocities that have been committed against innocent civilians in Gaza.
Well, it depends on what you call an atrocity. All wars are going to have atrocities.
A double tap on a hospital? A double tap on a hospital? So when the first responders show up?
I don't know exactly what you're talking about. I vaguely remember the thing.
Right.
Yeah, first of all, that's an old terrorist trick. That's what they do all the time.
Okay, but are you at least going to acknowledge that the IDF doing that was wrong?
Yeah.
As you can probably tell in that short clip, Bill Maher tends to turn a blind eye to the treachery of the Israeli military and government. There he was playing dumb with me and pretending as though he knows absolutely nothing about the atrocities committed by the IDF. And 6 months later, turns out his latest monologue proves that he's learned absolutely nothing. Now, before we get to that monologue, which his audience clearly did not find interesting or funny, Cenk, your 2 cents.
Yeah, I love the way the audience hated this segment. And he had a couple of Jeb Bush moments that we'll tell you about. Please clap. It was wonderfully humiliating. But there's 2 things I want you to focus on here. One is the brazen lie, which we'll explain that he did in the middle of the segment. And the other is the giant omission from the whole segment. The way that he ignored the elephant in the room was amazing. So Anna, give us the receipts.
So we can't play the actual video for copyright purposes, but I'm gonna read word for word what he said while showing you some footage of what the Israelis did in Gaza and the West Bank, just to juxtapose his statements with the reality of the Israeli state. With that in mind, let's get right to it. Here's what he had to say in his monologue. Since yesterday was Israel's birthday, having become a nation on May 14th, 78 years ago, everyone must either wish her a happy birthday or admit they're anti-Semitic. Enough with hiding behind Israel or Zionism or Netanyahu. If you think, as so many do now, that when it comes to human rights, Israel is the monster country of all time, you either don't read or don't care about your own hypocrisy because there are so many worse places. People talk about Jews these days like something out of Stormfront, except it's not Stormfront. It's an editor from the American Prospect, which is a venerable liberal publication that launched the careers of journalists like Ezra Klein. By the way, I checked, at no point has that publication said anything negative about Jews. They have been critical of Israel though. I continue with his statement. He says, and yet no one blinks when one of their editors says Israel is a brainwashed psychopathic death cult that might need to be nuked to save the human race. People say the left and the right can't agree on anything these days. Well, there's this one thing they agree on. Right-winger Tucker Carlson has Nick Fuentes and Holocaust deniers on his podcast and wonders along with them who really was the bad guy in World War II. And the New York Times has on their podcast super leftist Hassan, who they call a progressive mind and who says Zionists should be treated the same as Nazis based, which I assume means hung at Nuremberg.
Why do you assume that? Anyway, keep going.
That's what progressivism is now. So we really could someday soon have the tiki torch, the Jews will not replace us crowd and the queers for Palestine people working together to elect the next Hitler. Democrats, where are you? If any other minority group was being talked about this way, you'd break out the kente cloth and have 10 benefit concerts. But because you see that so many of your brainwashed by TikTok constituents now have an unfavorable view of Israel, you indulge them when you should be correcting them. You don't tell your woke idiots Israel isn't a colonizer or an apartheid state or committing genocide. And if your brats had to spend a week anywhere in the Middle East other than Israel, you would understand what liberalism is not. So I wanted to show you that footage because at no point in his monologue did he address Israel's crimes against humanity, namely the leveling of Gaza, the slaughter of nearly 73,000 Palestinians in the Gaza Strip, likely more. We don't have an official death toll count because there's still thousands of bodies trapped under the rubble. He didn't address any of that stuff. He just makes it seem as though criticism toward Israel amounts to anti-Semitism, and no one could possibly have any substantive reason for attacking Israel, such an angelic country that only does good in the world, right? Except, let's take a look at this quick screenshot for you. This is from Dropsite News's latest reporting. With no equipment allowed into Gaza, Palestinians are digging with their hands to retrieve the dead. Oh, fascinating. Okay, so if you're curious what the death toll currently looks like in Gaza, I've got updated numbers for you. Israel has killed at least 857 Palestinians in Gaza and wounded more than 2,500 in near daily attacks since the so-called ceasefire, bringing the total toll since the start of the genocide to nearly 72,800. But we're not quite done yet, because remember those bodies that are trapped under the rubble. Between 8,500 and 10,000 bodies remain buried under the wasteland of Gaza. Only 771 bodies have been recovered since October, according to the Ministry of Health. That's because the scumbag Israelis won't allow equipment into the Gaza Strip, so these poor people can find the remains of their loved ones that remain trapped under the rubble. Finally, many bodies may have disappeared forever. Palestinians killed in areas like Sujaya or Bet Hanun that have been completely razed by the Israeli military may never be located. So I'm curious, Bill, if your family was slaughtered by a foreign country and their remains were trapped under the rubble for literally years, or you find out that you'll never find the remains of your family members because the foreign government razed the entire area, disposed of the remains, and sorry, you'll never get closure. You'll never have the remains of your family members back. Would you be hateful if you were critical of that foreign government? Would you? He is such a disgusting hypocrite and a smug prick. Back to you, Cenk.
You know the hardest part of starting TYT? It wasn't being on camera, because I'm pretty, let's be honest. Or trying to figure out this new thing called YouTube. Yeah, sure, that was hard. But one of the hardest things, believe it or not, was launching our merch store, Shop TYT. I didn't know the first thing about starting an online clothing store. But thankfully, I had the best business partner to help me out. That's Shopify. You need a beautiful online store? Shopify's got hundreds of ready-to-use templates that match your brand style. You need to find customers? They make it super easy to run email and social media campaigns wherever people are scrolling online. And what about managing inventory, processing returns, and international shipping? Shopify is your commerce expert. They handle the world-class logistics so you don't have to. Everything from payments to analytics is in one place. No more jumping between platforms. It simplifies your life so you can focus on what you actually started the business to do. Start your business today with the industry's best business partner, Shopify, and start hearing. Sign up for your $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/TYT. Go to shopify.com/TYT. That's shopify.com/TYT.
Okay, I have a lot more. So first, in that bombing that Anna's referring to, a baby that was 40 days old was killed, another baby that was 8 months old was killed. Over 1,000 babies have been killed by Israel in Gaza. So if you're pro-life, and a lot of good, consistent, principled pro-lifers like Tom Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene have pointed that out as well, and saying this is not a pro-life position. They're literally killing, 1,000 babies that they murdered by bombing.
And I guess they deserved it, right, Bill? They deserved it, didn't they? Those babies, those dirty Muslim babies, right, Bill?
Yeah, but for people like Bill Maher, they don't view those as human babies.
No, he doesn't.
Like he thinks that's no big deal.
Yeah.
They were just in the way of our bombs. And if you kill somebody with a gun or a knife or with your hands, that's just terrorism and terrible. But if you incinerate them with a bomb, that's perfectly fine. That's humane, and so it doesn't count.
You're giving him too much credit. Even if the Israelis were killing them with knives, he would find a way to justify.
Oh, of course, the Israelis are viciously raping their hostages
with dogs,
and they all say, "So what? Who cares? I don't believe it. I choose not to believe it." Even though the Israeli press is reporting it, the New York Times is reporting it, it's corroborated. Look, there's only one of two things: either they think, no, the Palestinians just aren't human. We don't care about them. If that was 1,000 Israeli babies, they would say it was the worst thing that's ever happened since the Holocaust. They said that over about 1,100 to 1,200 people. There was 36 kids killed on October 7th. We said that was horrific.
They say, okay, good, we agree. The 36 Israeli children killed is terrible. The 23,000 children killed in Gaza, not important.
No,
not important.
Cenk, I love that you brought that up because when I went on his podcast, I brought up that point, worded differently. But I said something along the lines of, when Hamas carried out what they carried out on October 7th, we condemned it. But why can't you? And when I said we condemned it, he's like, oh, wow, big deal, so hard to do.
Well, why don't you do it?
But he can't condemn atrocities committed by the Israelis because you're right. He doesn't see
them as human.
He doesn't see them as human. I'll give you some more headlines from the weekend, Bill, so you can understand why people are critical of Israel instead of just smearing individuals, straw-manning them as these disgusting anti-Semites, when in reality, they actually care about humanity. They care about human lives. Israeli military kills 14 Palestinians in Gaza over 3 days because of course they do. It continues constant attacks even during a so-called ceasefire, right? So the other question I have for Bill is the entire international community anti-Semitic? Because it turns out ICC prosecutor, this is a headline from Israeli paper Haaretz, ICC prosecutor asks for arrest warrants for Israeli officials, source says. According to a diplomatic source, the warrants would be centered on 2 Israeli politicians and 3 IDF officials. Gee, I wonder who the politicians are. Bezalel Smotrich, Itamar Ben-Gvir, disgusting, genocidal disgraces, okay, to humanity. I don't know who the IDF officials are gonna be, but we already know that Yoav Gallant, former foreign minister, foreign military secretary or whatever he was, he already had
defense secretary.
Defense secretary, there we go. That was the word I was looking for. Yoav Gallant has an ICC warrant out for his arrest. Benjamin Netanyahu has a warrant out for his arrest. Is it because the international community and the International Criminal Court are just anti-Semites?
Yeah, of course he thinks that. He thinks the whole world is anti-Semites.
What a clown.
And that's because.
Okay, then I guess the ICC's warrants for the arrest of Hamas officials should have just been disregarded, right?
No,
Not
dirty
credible.
Muslims,
They're not
dirty
credible.
Muslims.
They're not credible.
You have to hate the Muslims.
Yeah.
I'm so concerned about bigotry.
Right.
I mean, Bill Maher is such a joke. So let's break it down a little further. By the way, 14 Palestinians have been killed in the last 3 days. So now it's 871 Palestinians murdered by the state of Israel since the ceasefire, because they never listened to a ceasefire. And then the minute a Palestinian throws a rock towards Israel, everyone in our press, including Bill Maher, is like, vicious, savage terrorists, kill them all, right? Because, but he's throwing a rock towards a precious Israeli, whereas your Palestinians are worthless, right? Now, here's a guy talking about bigotry, like everyone's a Jew hater, right? There's no reason to criticize Israel. We just showed you the videos. They destroyed 90% of Gaza. Netanyahu just bragged that they've stolen over 60% of Gaza and are never going to return it because it was always about land theft for greater Israel. But Bill Maher goes, I don't see it. I'm a moron of epic proportions. I don't know the news at all. HBO just hired me to do Hasbara. They pay me millions of dollars to do Israeli propaganda and not the actual news, because apparently Bill Maher has never read a news story in his life. He has no idea what's going on in Gaza. He has no idea that they displaced 1 million people in Lebanon. He has no idea that they got us to attack Iran for their purposes. He has no idea that we spent $8 trillion on the global war on Israel's neighbors.
He loves it.
Either you know nothing about the news, or you know it and you're purposely lying to your audience, and that is, of course, much more likely. Look, Zionism is a cult, and you could still have perfectly good people inside a cult. They're just misled, right? So, but in the cult, they teach you that Israel can never do anything wrong. The whole world is anti-Semitic. They hate you all. You have to strike first, and you have to label everyone an anti-Semite. And if anyone dares oppose Israel, Israel can never be wrong. Don't ever do introspection. Don't ever look inwards. Always attack everyone, and say they're Jew haters, and then try to destroy their lives.
Yeah.
And so that's what Bill Maher gets paid a lot of money to do, to try to destroy anyone who objects to Israel, and most especially Muslims, as he then ironically turns around and goes, I'm so concerned about bigotry. That's why I want you to hate the Muslims. You see how dirty terrorists they are, and it's a good thing we murdered them, right? Right, Bill? And then you ask us, after you murder our families, to wish Israel a happy birthday?
Okay.
Okay, why? Why do we have to wish Israel a happy birthday?
I'm not gonna wish, it's a genocidal country. I have no respect for that government. Their military commits atrocities on a daily basis. Okay, so Bill Maher can suck it. That's how I feel about Bill Maher and his demands of wishing a foreign country a happy birthday. Anyway, by the way, did you wish the United States a happy birthday? Did you do a monologue about that bitch? Anyway, let's move on to one other thing he said that really tells you everything you need to know about Bill Maher. I'm gonna read you a quote from his monologue, okay? And he had something to say about Randy Fine in an attempt to appear fair, although it's anything but. Now, there are absolutely horrible things said about Muslims too that should also be, of course, roundly condemned. Like Congressman Randy Fine saying, if they force us to choose, the choice between dogs and Muslims is not a difficult one. That's awful, but it's not the same as they need to be nuked and let's exterminate them. Except, Randy Fine has suggested nuking or exterminating the Palestinians. Don't believe me? Hey, all those producers that make those nice salaries, I guess they were too busy to research this, huh, Bill? GOP congressman, let's put it back up. GOP congressman calls for nuking Gaza like US did to Japan. If you're wondering where I got that headline from, it's from the Times of Israel, actually. It's from the Times of Israel. And in case you don't believe me, he even said it on camera. Take a look at this.
In World War II, we did not negotiate a surrender with the Nazis. We did not negotiate a surrender with the Japanese. We nuked the Japanese twice in order to get unconditional surrender. That needs to be the same here. There is something deeply, deeply wrong with this culture, and it needs to be defeated.
Did you really mean to say that the US should use nuclear weapons against a people because there's something wrong with their culture?
The nuking Gaza would be a terrible idea. The fallout would drift into Israel. It would kill the hostages. The point that I was making was,
but you're not worried about it killing, for example, women and children in Gaza who, the innocents?
I think war is a messy thing.
I think your entire existence is a messy thing. Now, there's more. In fact, here's another one from him. This was a post on X. May the streets of Gaza run red with their blood. He posted that on October 7th, 2023. He also said, Representative Fine on how to deal with mainstream Muslims, quote, I don't know how you make peace with those who seek your destruction. I think you destroy them first. There's more. Palestinian is just another word for demon. He posted on February 23rd, 2025. And then, oldie but goodie, I guess. This is from 2021. Someone had shared a photo of a Palestinian child buried under rubble, dead baby. Supporting killing innocent people and babies and smearing voices that fight against genocide for some AIPAC money says a lot about your character. You should be ashamed of yourself. How do you sleep at night? How does he respond to that? Quite well, actually. Thanks for the pick.
Yeah.
So Bill Maher, you're a really deeply immoral, disgusting person. You think that you're better than everyone when in reality, the so-called terrorists that you warn against, you're actually warning about your own character. But go ahead.
Yeah, two things about Randy Fine real quick. So that's such an over-the-top lie by Bill Maher that someone at HBO, if any standards exist at HBO at all, should ask him, are you completely ignorant of the news and hence we shouldn't have you do a news program? Or did you lie on purpose to try to trick people into supporting your favorite country? So because this is weird, you're either stupid or a liar, and there is no third choice in this regard. Because Randy Fine is over the top, and everybody knows he's over the top. It's like you would have to try to miss all the news to not know that he called for nuking Gaza, he called for starving the Gazans to death. So he says the Palestinians are another word for demon. Now, if someone said that about Jewish people, what do you think Bill Maher's reaction would be?
Who cares?
Or if there was a Jewish baby buried alive in the rubble, and some congressperson said, okay, thanks for the pick for the dead Jew baby, right? What would Bill Maher do? He would burn down everyone's house. He was anti-Semites, right? And rightfully so. And I would join him. But when it's Palestinians, Bill Maher goes, who cares? I'm not even gonna tell my audience. I'm gonna deceive all of them. I'm not gonna mention a single crime of Israel as there are hundreds, literally tens of thousands slaughtered. A stadium full of children slaughtered, but I'm gonna deceive my audience. But if you criticize me, it's okay. I have the immunity idol. I just call you an anti-Semite. I don't have to tell the truth. I don't have to, and the audience was the most uncomfortable silence you've ever heard in your life. And 2 times he had to go, ha ha, like when a joke happens and they don't laugh. He's like telling them to laugh.
Yeah, the only joke was him. That's
okay.
it. That's the only joke on that screen.
You know, Norway's birthday was yesterday. Bill, did you
Happy
wish
birthday to Norway.
Happy birthday
Hell
to
yeah.
Norway?
Happy birthday,
No,
Norway.
no, wait a minute. Yeah, and I'm
Go
really
ahead and cry about it, Bill.
I'm
Go ahead
really
and cry
no,
about
hold
it.
on. I didn't know that Bill Maher was a vicious racist against Norwegians. How could you have betrayed the Norwegian people this way? Do you see the sense of entitlement, you lunatic? Why does the rest of the world owe Israel a freaking happy birthday? Are you insane? But the entitlement is, we are the rulers of the world. You all bow down and wish us a happy birthday, God damn it. Otherwise, you're all anti-Semites. When you call your entire audience anti-Semites, when you call 80% of the Democratic Party anti-Semites, 61% of the country anti-Semites, did it ever occur to you, you megalomaniac, that maybe you should look inward? That maybe 80% of Democratic voters aren't vicious haters of Jews, that maybe you're the vicious hater of Muslims and don't mind their babies being massacred. But you have no soul, you have no compassion, you have no morality. You're one of the most indecent people to ever be in American media. And all you've ever done for the last 2-3 decades is be one of the most vicious bigots in America. Muslims are bad, Muslims are savages, Muslims are terrorists, kill them, kill them, kill them. If anyone said that about Jewish people, you would lose your mind and you would demand that they be fired. So are you demanding that you get fired? No, because you love bigotry against Muslims. You sick racist. And by the way, apparently HBO executives also deeply racist against Arabs and some vicious bigots against Muslims. They pay Bill Maher millions of dollars to spread that kind of propaganda, to get people killed and to be pro-genocide. So, I mean, I guess if you have, I loved HBO, their regular shows, but I guess I gotta cancel it because HBO is telling us we love genocide. We will pay this genocide denier to lie to our audience millions of dollars to help beloved Israel commit more genocide and take more from Americans, as we have Bill Maher smugly telling the great majority of Americans, you're Jew haters. The problem isn't Israel. You're the problem for not listening to Israel and not hating Muslims enough. That's exactly what you look like, Bill. That's why even your own audience hates you.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.